Since its release late last year, this has been one of my favorite phones, if not the favorite. It's the Vivo X100 Pro. Fantastic phone, great set of cameras on it with Zeiss optimization when it comes to the colors and color science. And Vivo is not done yet with the X100 series because they've just released recently this in China, which is the X100 Ultra. It has a few changes that I'll be covering in this video, and some of them are big, some of them aren't so big. So just tweaks, really. Slightly larger battery. It's now 100 milliamp hours larger than the X100 Pro with the Ultra. It does now have a slightly higher resolution screen, and it has a new chipset, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And then the cameras, this is the bigger one. The zoom camera, it's 3.7 times optical, but it now is a 200 megapixel sensor, quite a large one, so there's a lot of room for digitally cropping in, of course, with that sensor size and being 200 megapixels versus 50 with the old. And then the main camera is now the latest generation of 1-inch type sensors, and it does have gimbal stabilization, something that Vivo had before, but they kind of stopped using it while it is back with this phone here. So it's first impressions in this video, and I'll be talking a little bit about the differences between these two and what you could expect if you decided to import the X100 Ultra. And this is what we do get with the X100 Ultra, a case, so very similar to the one you get with the X100 Pro, but slightly different color. Bit of paperwork, that's all in Chinese, so I won't bother showing you that, it's boring anyway. And our Type-A to Type-C cable. The charger, this is their flash charge, 80 watts, and I think, yeah, off the top of my head, isn't it 100 with the X100 Pro, so that's a slight downgrade there, and then the SIM tray tool. Okay, so let's check out here the new kid on the block, the X100 Ultra versus its predecessor, the Pro, which is still an excellent model, and there's not too much in them so far in my time testing them out, which of course I'll cover in this video a little bit. So build, it's slightly wider and slightly heavier. Now this has a very nice frame to it, the X100 Ultra. This also has 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte of storage, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, Dimensity 9300 with this model, and it is global, so Fun Touch, Origin OS, but back to just the sizes and how they feel. So 229 grams with this model versus 221. You cannot feel that difference. Like, nah, they seem the same to me. Thicker, yes, when you see them side by side. So 9.2 with the newer model versus 8.9. There's not much in it, but camera modules, yeah, slightly bigger, but I wouldn't really worry too much about that. In hand, very solid, good feeling phones. Very kind of slippery. It's a very smooth finish to the X100 Ultra, and it's smooth as well. Actually feels a little bit smoother with a silky kind of matte-like finish to the X100 Pro. I like this, but in winter when you're handling these phones and your hands are cold, they will be a little bit slippery, so you definitely want to use those cases that they do include. Now, the camera modules, they look similar, but you can see the layout of the cameras has slightly changed. It's like they took the X100 Pro and went, all right, let's just move the cameras like that. Okay, so they did that. But the important thing is here, the Zeiss T-Star coating, it's there. It is really good. I cannot really praise this enough. It's such a fantastic coating. So anti-glare cuts down on that annoying glare. Very useful for photos and very useful in video too as well. You can see there's a microphone here. So ultra wide, still 14 millimeters, still 50 megapixels. And I wish it was a little wider. I find it to be just a little bit too narrow. And then we have our main cameras. So this is the new gen 1-inch type sensor with some gimbal stabilization. So they've brought that back. They had it in previous models. It's come back, but it's only just a fraction that it moves. A few degrees, the axis there. So it helps out with the tremors. And then the periscopic camera, downgrade in optical zoom. So it's now 3.7 times versus 4.3. Now notice with the phones that you shake them a little. Not so much with the new model, but this one with that floating lens, you hear it rattle a little. But the upgrade is the 200 megapixels. It's a very large sensor too as well. So it's really going to help out with those zoom photos. And so far, yeah, you can kind of see it is an upgrade, but optimization is needed. So at the top here, we just have secondary mic, well, the 3 microphones that they do have, IR transmitter, some speaker holes there. So dual speakers on both. Down the bottom, slightly different antenna lines. And notice how with this model, well, they're both in the same, but it looks just a little wider too. It's the different materials here, but it feels very nice in hand. Both support nano SIMs and of course no micro SD card, no 3.5mm unfortunately. Now listen up, big difference too with these. Both support video out, but only the global version has Android Auto. You're not going to get it with this import version from China at the moment, the X100 Ultra, unfortunately. Now the screens on first glance, you would say, oh, they're identical screens, right? There's nothing really to them. Well, there's a slight difference in the resolution. You can't really notice this at all, only if you look at it really closely. So 1440p by 3200 versus 1260 by 2800 resolution. And you cannot really distinguish that at all looking at it at normal distances. Break out a magnifying glass and yeah, you will notice it's a little bit sharper. And they're both LTPO AMOLEDs, 120 Hz, both of them. Dolby Vision we get with this newer model, and they're both 3000 nits. Now you can see this is the X100 Ultra indirect sunlight, and it is really legible, very, very good. Holds up really well, no issues, super bright. Bezels you can see are, well, they're similar. I really can't see too much of a difference in it, but when you have them side by side, yes, it is slightly taller here, the X100 Pro. Again, it's tiny little difference that just does not matter at all. And under the display settings, same kind of settings and options you do get there on both of them. Difference in the OS, of course, being Fun Touch. This is the global, and then Origin OS. Now, Origin OS, I think, is better optimized. Animations look a little bit faster the way they have them set. Now, I don't really think it's a difference in the chipset. Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 versus Dimensity 9300. Same RAM, but really, they are pretty much the same, but there is those differences then with the UI. That is one thing that I've picked up on. Now with the Chinese version, so no Android Auto, sadly. You can use banking applications and your Google Wallet and things like that. You can use that, but you're going to see some of these things that pop up with Jovi, some suggestions, occasional things in Chinese, but you can pretty much get rid of most of that. Now, there was a lot of bloatware on this to begin with, and lots of it. Now, luckily, you can do this, is just pinch like this, go along, select all those apps, which is what I did, and then simply hit uninstall. And it took me 45 seconds, and I got rid of 90% of it. And the good thing about Origin OS is they let you remove really everything. There's a lot of brands that don't allow you to do that, especially with their Chinese ROMs. It's kind of like lock in some of these apps, and no, it's a system app. You cannot uninstall it, but fine here. Now, there have been 2 updates already, and luckily I got this new one, which was working on the camera performance a little bit, and it has improved things, and there are still some things that need a little bit of work that I'll talk about later when I get onto the cameras. I've just done a camera comparison recently, and we have a level 1 security for Widevine. So DRM, streaming, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Full HD. That is good, but you will not be getting HDR yet until they recognize this phone. So level 3 for camera support, Camera 2 Pro. This means that Gcam, Open Camera, all those third-party camera apps have full access to everything to do with those cameras we have, the 4 cameras in total, including our selfie camera. Battery runtime. Now, this is not realistic. It's a looping test, but I do it on all of my devices. Now, right here, 14 hours and 10 minutes, not realistic, okay? Because it was with the dynamic refresh rate. I didn't force it to 120, so it should be a lot less than this. So far, from what I'm seeing, is battery life is okay. It's very good with the X100 Pro. Like, I can make it through a full day with this. And you can see around 10 hours of screen on time if you're not going crazy with any demanding apps and your screen brightness. This is looking to be around about that, maybe a tad bit better. Only just. Remember, this is first impressions here with a few little tests. So battery tests, I did this at 1% and it fully charged in just 38 minutes, although it reports here 71%, but it was full, 100%. So that is very quick. It's not the fastest I have seen, but still very respectable, I think, for charge times. The haptics on both of them seem to be the same. It's a nice little pulse. It's not the best haptics I have found. I still think some of the better haptics are from, say, the Poco F2, the F2 Pro, K30, Pro zoom, good haptics on that, and when I do type on this, well, maybe a little bit stronger with the X100 Pro, but there's barely any difference there. Loudspeakers, very, very similar. I'm hard put to tell any difference between them as well there. Now, of course, global with this Chinese ROM again. What about bands? Can I get onto 5G? Well, the good news is that yes, I've been able to get on 5G, you can see now, and I haven't had any problems. Data speeds seem to be a little bit slower than expected. So everything is kind of working for me, but do remember Android Auto is the one that isn't. Okay, so just wanted to make people aware of that. I know I've already mentioned it probably 2 or 3 times. So the cameras, let's talk a little about that. That's the big upgrade, right? And I'll show you the camera comparison I recently did between them. Now we have cinematic video that can go into 4K. There are the options you do have with that. A video up to 8K, 8K 30. You also do have, if you set 4K, you can see here, 4K, and that's 120 frames per second, which is great. Now, this is good for slowing that down because you can bring the playback speed to 25% at 30 frames per second. So it's very good for that, for people that need that kind of footage. Our ultra wide, as mentioned, it's 14 millimeters. I wish it was a little bit wider. The zoom camera goes up to 10 times, and I'll talk a little bit about those differences between them, what I'm seeing. Dolby Vision is that's a new little option we have here. You get a lot of pro settings too. I'll go over into the Pro mode. I really do like their Pro mode. I think it's brilliant because of all the options we do get. You can see there's a few things along here, and you can adjust that. Now, if you decide that, hey, these photos are always oversaturated, then just tone it down. Or the sharpness, they're over-sharpened. Tone it down a little bit. Good, we've got this. Zeiss, so you have this at the top, vivid, textured, natural. Texture's an interesting one. Vivid I find a little bit too oversaturated, and of course you can jump in here and go into super raw. You have the high resolution modes, and the default resolution depends on what you want. So that'll be like the 50 megapixels with the 50 megapixel camera. You get the idea there too. Now you can also with the camera, if you're in the normal mode, let me just jump into, I want photo, here we go, is that you can just swipe up here and you can swap over to their humanistic mode, street snap mode that they have here. And it makes things a little easier. This is your exposure that you can tweak and dial, and it should save and remember that. So far it has been doing that. Again, the vivid, black and white if you want. And it's nice that they've included this. So that's something that's different from the Pro X100 model. Okay, the X100 Pro does not have that yet. Maybe they're going to add it. See if I swipe up there, it does nothing. They will probably end up adding that maybe later on, or it could be just an exclusive thing to the Ultra. I highly doubt it. And you got cinematic up to 4K 30, which is going to blur, of course, your surroundings. Cinematic mode is actually quite good. And lots of different other modes in there, which I don't really have enough time to go into all of them there. But it's good to see this. Oh, and the Pro mode, sorry. You can, of course, do Pro mode with video. And there's a lot of different settings. You've got, of course, log. That's there. And you have the shake meters, more settings too. You can get it to show a lot of things. Talking about the motion autofocus and other tweaks there, including the bitrate, which you can up and you can change the default settings on that. So there's quite a bit in there in terms of cameras, what we do have. And what I'll run through now is just a little bit on those cameras and what I've seen in my experience with the X100 Ultra. So where am I noticing the improvements with the cameras? Well, portrait, main camera shots, I do like the processing here. They're doing less of that skin smoothing, which was still kind of happening with the X100 Pro, even though you turn it off. Less of that, and better stitching. You can see the fine strands of hair. Even taking a photo now, this is not portrait mode. This is just the main camera again of my cat Vera. I do like the natural background blur we're getting from that lens. It's really good. And low light still needs a bit of work. I find that some of the shots are a little bit overexposed, as you can see here. It's not quite there yet, that balance. The Zeiss colors are sometimes off too compared to what I've seen on the X100 Pro. I think is a little bit more color accurate. Like this shot, this is the super macro shot, which on the X100 Pro, I think it's debatable, but I think it's actually better at the moment. And this is a little oversaturated. It didn't quite capture those colors as well as it should. And that is, again, using the Zeiss natural mode that this phone does have. And it is very good normally, but it just needs optimization from them. Now, night shots, this is the night shot mode off, which I prefer. Looking good, but about the same level of X100 Pro. And then when you turn on the night shot mode using a very lengthy shutter rate, you'll see now that the difference is, I think it's almost overkill. It turns night into day, almost. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very bright. It's impressive what they can do with this. Maybe that gimbal is helping a little with the main camera there, but it certainly is impressive where we are now with low light photography. Vivo has clearly put in a lot more work when it comes to selfies and portraits. There's less of that skin smoothing kind of thing that's happening, that post-processing with their dedicated ISP chip. It's good to see that they've proved upon this over the X100 Pro. I like what I'm seeing, and I like what I'm seeing with the vlog footage you're looking at now. So I have a camera comparison, it's up in the channel, and the front-facing 50 megapixel camera with its 4K 60, 4K 30 out of the box is looking better, I think, than the X100 Pro. But it's not a huge leap ahead. This is just minor. It's more from the selfies, just more detail from that sensor, I feel. Vivo has certainly improved when it comes to video performance, but there is a bit of a weakness here. I did discover, comparing again with the camera comparison, that there are some drop frames. Clearly, when you pan around in low light conditions, it struggles a little, drops frames, we get that judder, and it's not a nice look, and I do hope with future firmware updates, Vivo can correct this. The zoom camera, which of course is the big upgrade here, has a lot of room for potential. At 10 times, which is mostly digital here, remember it's only 3.7 times optical, it is looking very good, very promising. I took the zoom up to 30 times, as you can see now, yeah, not so good there. Any bit of shake seems to come through with a little bit of blur. It could be down to the shutter rate, so they have some optimization definitely for the zoom camera, but as it stands, looking good if you don't go past about 15 times. So really what I'm seeing now with these phones is because Vivo set the bar so high with the X100 Pro, and that this is just released really. It's a new phone. It's only on its second firmware. This has had what, like 8, 9, 10 firmware updates now, something that it has really matured. They've optimized those cameras. Lacking optimization is the word with the cameras right now because the super macro shots look a little oversaturated. Low light video, even though it's great with the T-star coding from Zeiss, it's dropping frames, and that's not good. It's really affecting the fluidity of the video, and it's not on really. They're obviously going to improve upon that. They've got a lot of tweaking. Highlights with the main camera. Ultra wide could certainly be a little bit better. Video performance with that ultra wide too could be tweaked. The list goes on. It's not quite there yet, but I see its potential, and I see that yes, camera wise, it will probably and should, of course, supersede and better and be superior than the X100 Pro. But right now, as it stands, testing them both out now, having used this phone since I got it, yeah, I would stick and will be sticking with the X100 Pro for now. But I'm going to sit back and watch this model here. There will be probably some further updates from me videos, and certainly there will be camera comparison updates. I'll be hanging on to the X100 Ultra to update you on that progress. So thanks a lot for watching my first impressions of the X100 Ultra from Vivo.